With Eric Kane, Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com. Tennessee falls in the College World Series, eliminated by LSU. Tennessee goes 1-2 at Omaha, defeated twice by the LSU Tigers to end the season. Eric, if LSU, there's no way LSU thought they would get through this game with two pitchers. This was a bullpen game to get through with two pitchers. And for Tennessee, as Tony Vitello said in his postgame, they just didn't play their best in a night where they had to play their best. Is that the best way to sum up this game?
Yeah, I think so. The margin for error is so thin. I said that Saturday when Tennessee played LSU. Obviously, you're going up against Paul Skeens, but also Paul Skeens went out there tonight. But that lineup is still so dangerous. And so, Drew Beam, he wasn't perfect, but he was really, really good. It's just he didn't have any help behind him. I mean, Tennessee was 1 for 11 with runners on base, 0 for 5 with runners in scoring position. It was not a good game offensively, and it was a bad night to kind of go over in those situations where you really kind of spoil a great pitching effort from Drew Beam in the College World Series. And yeah, but hey, sometimes that's just baseball. But yeah, that's kind of how I would characterize it. It was a bad night to not play your best. And I don't think LSU played their best, but you're right. If you would have told me that LSU with its pitching was going to get through this ball game with two pitchers and start a guy who only had 16 appearances on the year with no starts, they were hoping to get 3 innings out of him. He went 6 innings and pitched near, 93 pitches, and Tennessee couldn't touch him. And I mean, hats off to the guy, but it was a bad night not to play your best baseball. And it's unfortunate because this was a game that Tennessee could have won and obviously stayed alive.
Yeah, perplexing just for Tennessee in that these quote no-name guys, and I'm not taking a shot at him, but these quote no-name guys seem to have popped up and give Tennessee as many fits as the hard-throwing household name guy has for whatever reason. You go back to South Carolina, you go back to Georgia in the regular season. Southern Miss doesn't throw their ace on night one in the super regional. They don't throw their number one guy, and it ends up being a win for them. And then Tennessee hits the ace and the number one guy and gets the win there. Left-handers who are crafty and kind of the no-name guys were some kryptonite for this baseball team for whatever reason. I don't have any idea why. Do you?
No, I don't. It's kind of funny too, and I've written this a couple of different times. I mean, Tennessee's really not been that bad against left-handed pitching. In fact, now there's been obviously more righties than lefties. They have a better record when a left-hander starts the game. But to your point, some crafty lefties at points in times this year have really given Tennessee issues. Like at Georgia, when their starter gets knocked out after 2 pitches, and this midweek starter comes in and Tennessee just can't hit them. The strangest thing at Hoover, where the guy that Tennessee really got after back in the beginning of March kind of one hits them through 6 innings. It's just kind of hard to explain. And this guy was a lot of the same as well. 6 innings, 4 hits, no runs, obviously 7 strikeouts and no walks. Tennessee's a very left-handed heavy lineup. It has been all year long, but they are who they are. And at some point in times, they just couldn't come through. I mean, Tennessee had their chances today. And I think that's what's frustrating. I wrote my 5 quick takes that I think Tennessee, put runners in scoring position, at least 4 different innings, but left the bases loaded 1 inning, left runners at second and third another inning. Those are critical opportunities in a ball game that was 2-0 for the longest time. And you just got to find a way to break through there. And Tennessee just couldn't do that tonight. So the guy that I thought originally was going to start the game, Riley Cooper, came on and he was pretty good in relief as well. 2 hits over 3 innings, and Tennessee just couldn't get it. And, earlier in the game when the wind was Tennessee's best friend, I really couldn't do him any favors later in the game.
No. And look, as you said earlier, I mean, it's baseball and baseball happens. And, it's why this sport in college baseball, it's so hard to win the thing. You think about it and you look at the road, you say, well, LSU's got a tough road to get there, and they do. But you know what? So does Wake Forest, who's got to go through LSU. Maybe Florida's got an easier path to the finals, to the championship series. But it's hard to win this championship. And, I think that when you look at this thing, as frustrating, and you mentioned this in your 5 takes, as frustrating as the loss was tonight, or as bit disappointing, bittersweet, whatever phrase you want to use, if you take a day or so and you start to look back at the big picture, The evolution of this baseball team, I think from head coach on down, you're going to question decisions that Tony Vitello makes for as long as he's Tennessee's head coach. Not every decision, but there's also going to be moments where you're like, okay, why did he make a pitching change there with a 1-2 count, right? I think Halverson's still wanting to know why he made a pitching change there with a 1-2 count. But I think when you look at the big picture of this baseball season, every part of this program grew this year. And I think for me, that is watching it from afar. I didn't watch it like you did, but watching it from afar, that's my biggest takeaway is that at the end of the day, when you put a bow tie on this season, what's your takeaway is it is a program, not just a team. It is a program that grew from, back in the fall, but certainly from February to June, and they grew a great deal.
Yeah, they did. It's been fun to watch, and I understand it's been frustrating to watch at times as well. I mean, I get it. Even tonight, there's a tailor-made double play ball, and Christian Moore just can't get a handle on it, right? And the inning stays alive. Like it's those little things that plague this baseball team in March and in the first part of April. And they grew up out of it. We talk about it all the time. Defense got better, pitching got better, hitting, got deeper, all that type of stuff. But it's just been fun to watch this team grow, and it's been fun to watch Tony Vitello grow. There's two sides to every coin. You wrote a column a couple weeks ago talking about how this is the best job that Tony Vitello's ever done. A lot can be said for that. I agree with that a lot of the ways. But also, this is a talented team. It's never not been talented. It's just about getting those guys to play up to their potential. And Tony got that throughout the season. So it's been fun. It's been fun to see this team win different ways throughout the year. It's been fun to see a different guy step up and be the guy. I mean, there was never one Superman on this team, but there was a different Superman on a Friday night than a Saturday night than a Sunday night. So it's been fun. And again, if you would have said that your season's going to end in Omaha, back in April, I'd say you're crazy. Someone asked in the Monday Night Chat, what would you say? I say, no chance. No, I mean, this team's not tough enough. This team's talented enough, but this team's not tough enough mentally, but it grew. And so that's what's been fun for me watching this team. And again, you get to a game like this where it feels like even if you win this game, it's going to be a challenge to beat Wake Forest twice, obviously. But the road's just kind of there. Go get it. Go beat up on a guy that hadn't pitched in 2 weeks. Go beat up on a guy that's not made a start all season long. And you just don't. But again, that's just baseball. But you're right. I think this team's growing up. I think this coaching staff has taken a step forward and grown up. And Tennessee baseball, I mean, I kind of ended 5 takes or something with it here recently. Tennessee baseball's no stranger to Omaha. They're on. I mean, you know your way around this place. And I think that's a testament to this program. And, we'll see what's in store for the years to come.
Well, and they're no longer the cellar dwellers in the, or bottom feeders or bottom half feeders in the SEC. I mean, they're proven. They have proven that they are here to stay. They have established themselves as a contender every year. That doesn't mean they're the favorite. As Tony Vitello said, they were overrated to start the year. But they have proven that they know how to make it work and are figuring things out and getting better each and every year. I think the question moving forward now, as you kind of spin it forward, is where does this team go from here, Eric? When you look at the next few weeks, you mentioned this, guys are going to get a break. Some are going to go to USA Baseball. Some are going to play Summer League. Some guys are going to just go catch their breath for a little bit. Before they get back in August. Tony Vitello and his staff are going to go recruiting. And then you have the ever-looming transfer portal out there. What do you think what do you see over the course of the next few weeks for this baseball program as you start to look ahead to next year?
Yeah, there's a lot to do. I mean, there's truly, there's no off season, right? You've got teams. The team you just played tonight, right? You're competing for a national championship, and you're bringing guys in through the transfer portal while you're in Omaha. And this team's been working. Don't get me wrong. This team's been recruiting. Tony's making phone calls. I mean, they're doing their job. But you're going to have to get some guys via the transfer portal here in the next few weeks. The portal will close on July 13th, but I think Tennessee's going to be active. Obviously, there's a number of positions that you want to tag. You're going to need a shortstop for next year, maybe upgrade at the catcher position. Maybe go get an outfielder. Of course, you always need starting pitching. So there's obviously some options out there. The name I threw out yesterday, the North Carolina State freshman, DH, but he's also a catcher. That's somebody to look out for. He entered the portal. Of course, Tennessee had a target, former Xavier left-handed pitcher, and he committed to LSU a couple of days ago. So there'll be more names that'll be jumping out there. But Tennessee's going to attack the transfer portal. The current team, I think USA Baseball is a possibility for probably 2 guys on this roster right now. We'll have to see. Summer ball, of course, some guys are already out playing. Some guys, there's like 5 guys that if they play summer ball, they're going to the Cape Cod, but potentially they're not going to go because of, USA Baseball or, rehab or just whatever the case may be. So we'll be tracking that. I'm excited to kind of track all that here over the next couple of weeks and catch up with some guys who are in the Appalachian League and stuff like that. And then, of course, you have the Major League Baseball draft that's coming up. And, Tennessee's got a really nice 2023, recruiting class coming in here, but you got to watch out because the Major League Baseball teams will draft these guys. And depending on how much they're willing to pay in that slot value, will they make it to campus? So I'm excited to kind of dive into that. It's going to be new for me in the sport of baseball. So I'm pumped up about the challenge, but that's kind of what's next. They're going to feel bad about this loss. They're going to go home tomorrow and then you're going to move on. And guys who are seniors are going to pack up their things, and guys who will be back here next year are going to go play summer ball, and Tony Vitello is going to be recruiting. So look forward to some busy next few weeks, so certainly with the transfer portal. Again, the portal window is open until July 13th.
Yeah, the portal's been good for Tony Vitello the last couple of years when you look at guys who have come in. And I'll say this. I know there's been a lot of people who have been frustrated at times with Maui this year, struck out too much and didn't play his best, dealt with some injuries. The guy was terrific in Omaha. I mean, he had a terrific 3-game tournament there. He hit the baseball well. The park seemed to suit him very well for whatever reason. I thought he was a guy who he didn't seem to be pressing when some other guys looked like they were pressing. He was as calm and relaxed as he'd been. I thought he was really terrific. So just a shout out for him. As we close this thing out, I'm going to ask you this question. In a sentence, in a phrase, sum up this baseball team this year.
This baseball team was super talented, but needed to figure out how to win. And I think they did that. They had to learn from their lessons. They had to learn from it the hard way. So super talented, needed to figure it out. They did. Make it my own, right? The talent was never the issue with these guys. And so I'm glad. Brent, tell me, there's nothing more frustrating. You watch a lot of high school football and you watch a lot of Tennessee football. I feel like there's nothing more frustrating, not even as a fan, but just watching a sport to see a group of guys or a team or whatever just not live up to what they could be. You can say that about life as well, about anybody, but that's how this team was for a lot of the year. But that's not how this team was who ended it. So no surprise whatsoever that you are ending the season in Omaha. You got to win in Omaha. That's good. You wanted to get a couple more, but again, a team that they took the hard way. Nothing was ever easy. They didn't make anything easy, and they had a flair for the dramatics. But you got to Omaha, and it doesn't surprise me one bit.
Yep, and plenty of highlights along the way. Everybody's going to remember that Friday night Vandy win.
Oh, yeah.
The comeback against Clemson, a couple of home runs kind of hurt around Rocky Top, and then a really magical performance for 6 innings by Chase Burns in Omaha. You can debate which one was the best out of those, but there was certainly a lot of moments to remember by this team. And I think this team in years passing is going to be remembered very fondly as a team that found a way to reach their potential when it got crunch time, when you had to have it. And that's, again, a credit to the locker room. It's a credit to the leadership, and that's a credit to the culture and the program that Tony Vitello and his staff have created.
And I'll say this too, when things aren't going well, and you see this in basketball, you see this in football, you saw in baseball this year, a lot of times you just assume something's going on. There's locker room problems, all the culture's bad, all that type of stuff. Well, I mean, nothing's ever going to be perfect. You're not going to get along with the guys that are, sitting beside you in the locker room, on the bus, on the flights. You're around these guys so much. Your brothers, you're going to fight. I'm not trying to act like everything was perfect, but to see the emotions down there in that dugout, down there in the tunnel underneath the stadium after the game, for some of those guys, Camden Sewell, Griffin Merritt, who was just here a year, but seeing what he looked like after this game, that's some of the other guys, some of the pitchers, Chase Dolan, even some of the underclassmen. I mean, this obviously it hurts, but you come to a realization that you'll never be around this group of guys again. It's the same thing with at the end of every high school football season, you all cry on the end of the field. That's a lot of what it was tonight. So these guys love each other. They love playing with one another. And, as you'd expect, it was a little emotional down there after the game was over. So anyway, it just speaks again. I think, is Tony Vitello perfect? No, he's not. He'll never be perfect, but he's got this thing rolling here at Tennessee and back in Omaha. And that is the best way to end a season for sure. If you're going to lose the last game of the year, lose in Omaha.
Yep, certainly did. I know you've had a great experience out there seeing it for the first time and covering it. We certainly appreciate all of the coverage. I know all the Volquesters appreciate all the coverage you have brought them, not just from Omaha, but throughout the year covering this team, going all the way back to Arizona in game one when Tennessee got this thing started. Lots of roster moves, lots of roster decisions to take place by all parties as the portal window remains open. Major League Baseball decisions are out there. All kinds of things going on with this team that will continue to follow. There's going to be movement, I think, on renovations to Lindsey Nelson Stadium. There'll be talk about that in the coming weeks and the coming months as well. So plenty of baseball just because the season's over. And that season's a long, long grind. But the movement in this program is not going to stop. So we'll continue to cover all of that. So for the final time from Omaha, Nebraska, he is Eric Kane at the College World Series. I'm Brent Hubbs, Volquest.com. Have a great day, everybody.